Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. Thank you, as always, for making us a part of your day. By the time this goes up, hopefully it'll be sunny, but another rainy day here in LA. I'm enjoying the rain, but I'm just anticipating the heat coming. But for now, it's a nice, cool, chilly, rainy day. But we are talking all things UDFAs today. So we're bringing the heat on this cool day. The Rams love UDFAs seemingly every year. Multiple not only make the roster, but make an impact. I think 4 or 5 from last year played valuable reps throughout the season. Obviously, Jalen McCullough, probably the most known with his 4 interceptions. But there were multiple others. So we'll talk this 17 UDFA class, who kind of stands out to us and who potentially makes the roster and makes an impact. First and foremost, my man, the man that does all your Rams content on the site, Mr. Skinny T. What is up, my brother?
Not all of the Rams content comes from me. You got a nice article up about this very topic. We had to do some research on these guys, so we got to put that to good use. But I'm good. It's a magical time in the sports calendar with NHL and NBA playoffs going on. So it's just great to have so much sports action happening. Keeps me company when I'm working late like tonight.
Yeah, it's a shame because LA had 3 teams. I know a lot of Angelinos don't like to claim the Clippers, but there are a lot of Clippers fans, probably some that even listen to the show. So they are Los Angeles. Like, come on, we represent. Been here for quite some time, but it's a shame that we had 3 in the playoffs and all 3 no longer in the playoffs. All get bounced in the first round. We talked about it last episode. I thought the Kings were kind of most shocking. The Lakers were obviously very shocking, being the way they ended the season. So we have lots of content up on those teams also, if you guys are interested in LAFB Network. But yeah, at least there's other good games on. I mean, did you catch that Nuggets OKC game last night?
No, that was a little past my bedtime, but I started looking at the notifications and wow, what a collapse.
So as you know, but I think our listeners know too, I'm a big NHL guy. Like, I way prefer the NHL over the NBA. So when my Avalanche and the Kings both lost, I'm still going to pay attention to the NHL playoffs. I just think the games are still that good.
Yeah.
For me this time now, I'm kind of just like, all right, now I'm just back focused to just like kind of our work and what we can get covered and whatnot. I don't have to like stay up till 10:30 every night actually watching games. But so the Nuggets are still in it, and I'm a Nuggets fan, but I haven't like cared at all. So like last night I was like, oh, they're playing OKC, the number 1 seed, like cool. Shows like how terrible of a basketball fan I am. And I'm looking at the score, Skinny, and it's like they're down by, I think at one point they're down by like 12. Like they was always relatively close, but they're down by 12 at one point. And then I have like a tracker on my phone. So I see in like the 4th, they're down by like 8 with like 2 minutes left. I'm like, oh, it might be interesting. And then with like a minute left, I'm just like tracking the thing, and it's like, okay, down by 1, foul, down by 3, down by 1, foul. Then all of a sudden it just ends and it's like they won by 1. I'm like, wait, what happened? So I had to go watch like the whole highlight. Like, oh, the heck did they just win? Like OKC's like strategy was very odd how they ended the game and allowing Jokic to come back in with the foul. Like, anyway, very odd. But I was happy the Nuggets won.
In other NBA news, I learned today that Mikal Bridges, who had a fantastic game in the Boston New York Knicks series, he's a Rams fan.
There you go.
He was, somebody compared him. One of the reporters compared him to Sauce Gardner taking a ball away, and he said, "No, don't compare me to Sauce. Ahkello Witherspoon is his guy."
I love it. I wonder though, like I love when guys like stick to their teams. Like, I think that's great, and obviously for us talking about the Rams, like this is cool. But I always wonder, like, that's got to rub your city kind of the wrong. Like, imagine if, like, I don't know, Luka was like, no, I'm more like some Cowboys player. It's like, come on, we want you to embrace, like, you like them all to embrace each other in the LA culture. So I wonder if that rubbed any New Yorkers. New Yorkers hard to piss off, so I'm sure it rubbed no one the wrong way, right?
Yeah, easy going, folks. Just go with the flow, people.
Yeah, this is so random, and we'll get into it. But I remember way back when Kaepernick was still playing, and remember he repped like a Dolphins hat somewhere. And it was like
really?
It was like this huge, not like crazy backlash, but obviously talking heads talking about it, like, yeah. Which to me is like, okay, if you're wearing like a Miami Heat hat, that's one thing, but like the Dolphins are another NFL franchise. That's kind of odd to wear. But anyway,
Very strange.
Anyway, off topic. UDFAs. I think the Rams got some good ones. As I mentioned, every year UDFAs make NFL rosters. They make impact. I mean, heck, Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer, was a UDFA. So there's value that these teams find after the draft. And the Rams are probably one of the best at doing it in football when you look at year in and year out, finding starting quality players. I think that shows too, Skinny, how they develop guys. Like, give credit to this coaching staff for finding these kind of these unfound gems, these hidden gems, and turning them into starting caliber players. You look at just last year, I mentioned Jalen McCullough, but obviously Omar Spates becomes a starter, and he's kind of the foreseen starter at the linebacker position. I've talked a lot about Justin Dedich from USC. Like, you know, he won't be a starter moving forward, but was able to spot start when needed, when injuries happen across the offensive line. They got a bunch of special teams guys in there. So looking at this list of 17, we'll kind of just go back and forth and talk about a few that stand out to us that we think not only could make the roster and why, but also could make an impact. So I'll just toss it to you first. Who stands out to you first? Or should we list them all first? Or is that just too many names salad that no one's going to care?
Yeah, I think it's a little hard to keep track of that way. So I think going one by one, and then we can kind of wrap up with like a rapid fire of the rest. We'll do like our top 6 or so, and then
I'll put wherever you guys are watching, if you're on YouTube or listening on Apple, I'll put a link to where we have all 17 listed on the site so you can look at it. So go ahead, Skinny.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, the big headline for this one, both you and I agree, Willie Lamin. I think everybody's talking about the guy Willie Lamin. Now, is it because he's a sort of an outlier, sort of a strange, freakish center interior offensive lineman because he's 5'11"? And how many pounds is he? He's 5'11",
like 295, not even 300.
Yeah, I think he dropped some weight for his pro day to get down to 280. But I want to see him and Poona Ford go at it because they're the same height and about the same weight. So yeah, violent hands, only allowed 8 pressures, 0 sacks, 38 consecutive games he played for North Carolina. That's where he was, right? North Carolina.
Yeah, started at Coastal Carolina, but played the last 2 years at North Carolina.
Yeah, so blocking for Marion Hampton. He picked up a whole bunch of yards. So I think this is the guy everybody's talking about. And it's a great place to start. What did you find in your research? You did a good portion.
I love this pickup of Lampkin because everything you said, finished last year with an 85.6 overall blocking grade. That's both pass and run blocking composite according to PFF. So highly touted in terms of grading scales. But I love this because this is a true kind of NFL legend story, right? Like, doesn't have the NFL pedigree in terms of size. Like when you think of centers, you're talking at least 6'3". I mean, it's rare to find a center under 6'3". You're looking 6'3", 6'5". Obviously, they're going to be smaller than tackles who are more the 6'5" plus. But most prototypical centers nowadays are in that 6'3". I think there's probably some 6'2", but anyway, 5'11", much shorter. Not even 300 pounds. This guy got overlooked coming out of high school, which is why he ended up at Coastal Carolina because of his size. He got overlooked when he entered the transfer portal because of his size, and Mac Brown gave him a chance at North Carolina. And what did he do? Dominated at Coastal Carolina, goes to North Carolina, dominates at North Carolina to the tune of, as you mentioned, 38 straight starts, leading Omarion Hampton, who's one of the best running backs in football, keeping a clean pocket for those quarterbacks. So a guy that's just coming from 2 short guys here on the mics. Here's a guy that the world has always said he's too small to play. It all he's done is prove doubters wrong. And so I bet he's going to do it again and make this roster and be a good depth piece. And maybe he'll be a special team offensive lineman, or maybe he'll have to come in when someone gets hurt, which the NFL obviously is a long road to per edition. So sometimes you need that depth piece. So I love Lampkin.
Yeah, and they bring in Coleman Shelton back in to probably be the starter, but it's an interesting position, and they brought in a couple of interior offensive linemen, which is interesting considering they're looking to probably have to replace Rob Havenstein sooner than later. Mm-hmm. So I think that maybe there is more of a competition going on than we realize. Dedich kind of, or who was it that played center last year?
Oh, Bo Limmer.
Bo Limmer, yeah, he kind of made his case last year as well, and maybe he's going to take another step forward. But yeah, really interesting pickup, and I think he has a chance to make the squad long term.
Yeah. To your point, they definitely added more interior guys than tackles. I think obviously the switch from college to pro, a lot of these guys kind of move all over the offensive line to see where they can fit best and just make the team. But just based on draft where they were listed, I think only one tackle and 3 interior guys added in terms of undrafted guys. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I really like his prospects, and played right guard at North Carolina, but can certainly play center and has that versatility, which we know the Rams like. I mean, just last year, Justin Dedich was a center at USC and ended up playing guard for the Rams when he had to come in. So versatility is key. So
well, and my stance on fullback, and we've seen defensive tackles go for fullback. Maybe we got a fullback on our hands here. I don't know.
Lampkin has a nice name for a touchdown dance.
Yeah, everybody do the Lampkin.
Everyone do the Lampkin. I like that a lot. So, well, great. So yeah, I think me and you are in agreement. He's one of the most likely guys to make this roster, but we'll see. Who you got next, or do you want me to go?
You should go.
Okay, so I'm going to go with receiver, and I'm really curious your thoughts. We didn't really talk about this pre-air. We plan we're going to talk about this. We didn't talk specifics. So I'm curious your thoughts on receiver. To me, because I think a lot of people probably think receiver is already pretty stacked in terms of just numbers. The Rams will keep 6 to 7. I can't see them keeping any more than 7, but in that 6 or 7 range as they do every year. And so I think a lot of people probably think, like, when you look at it and look at the guys returning last year, they're kind of set. To me, though, really 1 through 4 is kind of a lock. When you look at Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, and then most likely, in my opinion, Jordan Whittington. I think he proved himself last year. But after those 4, to me, it's pretty wide open. I know Xavier Smith is a great special teamer. So you can make the case that he's kind of that 5, but, not super involved in the actual offense. They drafted, Kenota Mumfield in the 7th round. And they just signed Britton Covey, who will likely just be that special teamer. Basically, to me, it seems like Covey and Smith will compete for that return spot, and then that will take obviously 1 receiver spot. So really, I think there's 2 to 3 spots open for receiver, and there's really no name I think that is like it's theirs for the take, or it's everyone's for the taking. I mean, and so I'm going to talk about Mario Williams, because I think his pedigree and his talent level could really shine in this offense. He kind of was one of those guys that got lost in the wash due to transferring and playing at 3 different schools. But, he was a highly regarded 4-star recruit of the high school, went to Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. Then when Lincoln Riley came to USC, brought Caleb Williams with him, and Mario Williams came with them, played 2 years here at Southern Cal. So I got to know him well, got to watch him play. He played kind of best from that slot position. He's a little bit smaller frame at like 5'10-ish, 180. So definitely would probably be seen more as a slot guy, but definitely has great speed, great hands, great route runner. And then last year played his final season at Tulane and really broke out at Tulane with over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I think Mario Williams is a guy that has the pedigree and has big enough size. He obviously is bigger than Tutu Atwell, but has pretty good speed as well, and can really carve a rollout for himself. So I think he can fit in here. Obviously, Lincoln Riley knows him, so maybe he'll vouch for him. And the Rams don't draft USC guys, but they do seem to like undrafted USC guys. So I know he's technically out of Tulane his final year, but 2 years at USC, so he's a Trojan.
Yeah, for sure, and a Lincoln Riley guy at that.
I mean, his Lincoln Riley, yeah.
It's like the they're bringing in a lot of guys. So I think his biggest competition is just the numbers of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, drafting, you bring in Britton Covey, there's 2 more undrafted free agents, True Edwards and Brennan Presley. They've got 12 guys on the roster right now at the position. So
yeah,
it's going to be an interesting battle regardless. And I think Mario's probably one of the steals of the UDFA class, especially looking at the other receivers that they're bringing in, where there's, the production isn't there, the size isn't there, the traits aren't there, something like that. So I think he's probably the front runner with Mumpfield to find himself a spot. Xavier Smith might find himself as the odd man out, as much as I like the guy, because there's some good traits that Mario Williams and Mumpfield are bringing. So I think, that 6 or 7 is probably where you're going to end. So I think he's probably the front runner for that. True Williams, or True Edwards rather, is an interesting one because he's 6'2", but he plays mostly in the slot. Doesn't have a lot of production, decent yak, but I'm excited to see this in camp. All these different receivers, they always bring in a good amount, but this is, I think, the most competition that they're going to have for the kind of 4 through 6 or 7 spot.
Yeah, definitely up there. And this is a lot of guys in college. I mean, this is what makes why you have to play the games in college and make it. And we talked about the quarterback position, and Cam Ward being a 5th rounder at Washington State, plays 1 year at Miami. He's the 1st overall pick. But so I'm not just saying this is just this case for Mario Williams. I know it's a lot of players, but Mario Williams, after his freshman season in Oklahoma, this was like a guy that could potentially be a 1st or 2nd round pick just based on his recruiting profile, kind of his ability, his yak ability, his speed, being able to play in Lincoln Riley's offense. So I'm not saying that, he should have still been that because of just how the college career went, but has been healthy pretty much his whole career, no serious injury, and had that pedigree early on. You get a guy that could potentially be an absolute steal as an undrafted free agent. So a lot of guys have that story for sure. I just know it more because I covered him for 2 years at SC, met him, talked to him, played baseball as well back at Oklahoma, and then kind of stopped after that. But so a dual sport athlete a little bit. But yeah, love to see him make it. We'll see.
Yeah. My next guy is a right tackle out of Indiana, Trey Wedig, 6'7", 313.
Nice.
I think, you look at what, Indiana does. So he comes from Wisconsin as well. That's where he transferred from before. He did 3 years at Wisconsin, transferred to Indiana. I mean, we're talking offensive line pedigree here. Big Ten football's won and lost in the trenches. So, I mean, this is a guy you kind of want. 15 pressures, 2 sacks. So, 7 of those pressures that he allowed were against elite talent. I think Notre Dame was one of those games. Michigan was one of those games. One more big game that, it was just, against really high end talent. So, his run blocking runs a bit hot and cold, but this guy is, kind of a developmental. Let's take a wild swing and see if we can find, Rob Havenstein's successor, and if not, a Joe Noteboom successor who has found himself a role on or at least a chance to find a role on another NFL team. So they needed the kind of swing tackle backup guy that can play multiple places, and that's Trey Wedig.
I love it. Real quick, I saw, speaking of Noteboom, I almost feel bad even saying this, but I saw someone tweet it out after he got signed. Said, like, congrats to the Ravens who got a player that can play every position, just not well. I was like, yeah, it's true though. Yeah, versatility just doesn't really do it that well.
Yeah, Wedig's not going to cost you $10 million against the cap. So.
Exactly. But no, I like Wedig. I mean, everything you said is the key there. Big Ten pedigree. I mean, Wisconsin and Indiana. Those are two, like, when you think of offensive line traits and talent to get to the NFL, like those two schools, along with obviously Michigan, Ohio State, like the other Big Ten schools, all check every box pretty much. And then you just look at Indiana specifically, who last year under Curt Cignetti obviously turned everything around, ended up making the college football playoff. They were the kind of the Cinderella story of college football. And a lot of that was because of the trench play, what they're able to do with the offensive line against, Big Ten defensive lines, and able to keep their quarterbacks who, they had a little rotation. Rourke got a little banged up, and they had a backup come play. Still didn't miss a beat. So I really like the prospects of Wedig make it. I think when you look at the depth chart, tackle certainly is pretty open. I mean, outside of your 2 starters of Jackson and Havenstein, AJ Akuri, Warren McClendon, and Trey Wedig, like that's kind of it on the roster right now. So I would think, Skinny, they're going to keep 4 tackles no matter what. They may even keep 5. There was a year when they kept 10 offensive linemen, I remember, a few years back. So 4 minimum. So there's no doubt he'll compete with McClendon and Akuri and can potentially make it.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, I'm still surprised they didn't take an offensive lineman in the draft. So this is next best idea, I guess.
All right, the next player I'll highlight, and I'm still shocked, Skinny, that they didn't draft a corner. They didn't sign a corner, so we can't even talk about corner. But I am going to go secondary because the Rams love signing undrafted secondary players. So they have almost every year, it feels like. Just last year, obviously signed, as we mentioned earlier, Jalen McCullough. They signed Josh Wallace, Charles Woods. So that was 3 just from last year. And obviously they have a lot of late round picks in that area as well. So they have 2 safeties they signed this year. And I think both have a shot to make it. But the one I'll highlight is Nate Valcarcel out of Northern Illinois. Guy, I like his size, 6'1", right about 200 pounds. So he's got good size. Ran a 4.3 or 4.5 340. So not elite speed, but I think that's plenty fast enough for the safety position, especially if you play free safety kind of as a center fielder. But his production at NIU last year, 53 tackles, 2 sacks, fumble recovery, 8 passes defended, and 3 picks. He had 3 picks in back-to-back seasons and was integral in that, I hate to bring it up to you, but in that monumental upset over Notre Dame, where he had 5 tackles and a pass defense. So I think sometimes guys that have that, come from those smaller schools, just have that kind of hunger, that dog in them, and having to go up against the big guys and kind of prove yourself, and now having another chip on your shoulder, being undrafted, and then just being the history of the Rams and what they do with undrafted secondary players. And we'll see what kind of versatility he has. Obviously, with him not signing a corner and them signing 2 safeties, if they can get a guy similar to like a Quentin Lake that they feel can play kind of in that nickel as well as free or strong safety, then that just, behooves you even more in being able to make this team. So yeah, I'll go with my guy Nate out of NIU to make it.
Yeah. Northern Illinois has like one of those reputations of churning out some interesting players occasionally and really good coaches as well. So I think that's pretty cool. Big note on this guy is he was first team All MAC, so definitely got recognized for, his production there. The other safety, Malik Dixon Williams out of UConn. Also interesting, 6 foot, 203 pounds, 3 interceptions when he was targeted, just a 54 NFL quarterback rating when targeted. He didn't get targeted a lot, but both interesting guys to keep an eye on, because the secondary does need some players on contracts eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyone else you want to highlight? I know they got 17 guys, but is anyone else you want to highlight real quick?
Yeah. There's 2 interesting interior defensive linemen that I think have a shot. Both kind of from big programs, both didn't play a ton in those. So your first one's going to be, interesting note on this guy, the only Bill in the draft class. Bill Norton, defensive tackle out of Texas. 6'5".
The only Bill.
There's Billy's
and Williams. Bill. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I respect Bill. You can't not respect Bill. I mean, it commands respect.
Sure does.
Texas, big boy, that's all I need to say on that one. And they need rotational run guys, run stoppers. And the other one from Oklahoma, Dejon Terry, same profile, 6'3", 317. They need mass in there. They need rotational guys there. So, not a lot of production, not a lot of playing time. Can they develop into something like that? They got Giff Smith in there, and he's doing a heck of a job replacing Hendo. So just guys to kind of keep an eye on. I don't, special teams as well. So I'm going to special shout out to Jordan Waters, 6 foot, 222 running back, NC State. Again, not a lot to write home about on that one, but he did play well with his year at Duke. 811 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry in 2023 when he was with Duke. I think we can't talk about this class without talking about Sean Dolak, though.
Can't. Please talk about him. Talk about some Dolak.
Linebacker. Where did he go to school? He went to Buffalo. Buffalo has, I think, one other draft pick, and that was Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So not bad. I don't know what their obsession is with small linebackers, but he's 6'1", 225, just a little bit bigger than the running back that I just mentioned. But everybody's talking about this guy, similar to Willie Lampkin. A lot of eyeballs on 168 tackles. He was a consensus All-American. I kind of see him in kind of this developmental, Jake Hummel, Christian Roseboom. He's going to be on special teams. He might even compete for a starting spot. We don't know.
Yeah. Love that. I agree. I think he's a guy that the pedigree at Buffalo may not be high, but it makes you kind of work for more and something that I think he can actually potentially carve out a role and he'll start on special teams and whatnot and then kind of go from there. But last guy I'll talk about, can't not talk about another USC player. I got to talk about Jamil Muhammad. Love Jamil Muhammad. He was one of the vocal leaders with USC the 2 years or the 3 seasons he was there. And interesting about him, so he actually got recruited as a quarterback and signed with Vanderbilt, but ended up committing to Georgia Southern, moved over to defensive end, played 2 years there, and then transferred to USC. Similar to Lampkin, I mean, this is the main reason why all these guys are UDFAs is their size. Like he does not have like your prototypical NFL edge size. He's only 6'1", so real short, 260, doesn't have that elite speed off the edge, doesn't have the crazy pass roofs or the arsenal of different pass rush moves that can get him past, but he's got a great motor. He's a great leader. I think mentality wise, this is one of those guys that you just want in your locker room. So not saying he's for sure going to make it. I think even if he doesn't, I think he'll be a practice squad guy. Sometimes those intangibles of leadership and, he's 24 years old, so a little older, played, all these different college ball, started everywhere he played. Sometimes you just want that in your locker room practice squad that you can kind of dole out roles for and whatnot. So I would say he reminds me a little bit of Michael Hoyt in the sense of like, doesn't have that same talent level, but just that grinder that somehow finds his way on the field. Like he's just like, he's that kid when you're a coach where like the guy like shouldn't be good, but I just can't not put him on the field because he just forces me to put him out there with the way he works. The problem is Michael Hoyt's like 6'4", 310 or whatever. And Jamil Muhammad's 6'1", 260. So the size is the big discrepancy. Got the same motor and intangibles as Hoyt, but Hoyt did have that big NFL size to kind of go along with it. So, I think Muhammad's an awesome player, awesome dude. Would love to see him crack it and make it, but I think at minimum he'll be a practice squad guy.
Yeah, and we've talked about adding to this edge room and rotational pass rush. How can they generate more? And at that size, even from a weight perspective, and he's pretty competitive with the other edge rushers in there. So
yeah,
I think that works for me. They've got some tight ends on here in this class as well. Mark Redman from Louisville.
Did
Anthony Torres.
Did we mock them to take Redman?
I don't think so.
Maybe. Not. And it would have been like a 7th round pick, but I don't know why that name. I'm like, I feel like we mocked them to take him.
Anyway. I don't remember that, but my memory's shot at this point in my life. Ben Dooley, 6'5", 300 pounds, Boise State, lead blocker for Ashton Genty. All Mountain West. He's left guard. I didn't say that. Only allowed 13 pressures and 1 sack. Another interior offensive lineman. I don't know why. You paid Jonah Jackson's a couple more years on the rookie contract. Kevin Dotson paid a lot of money. But he's on there as well. I think we've covered just about everybody. Oh, Anthony Torres is the other tight end out of Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
Good pass blocker. That's what I'll say with him. I think we hit all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Redmond too. Pretty good pass blocker.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like your Ferguson, who's a big pass catcher, only 256 yards last year. He only over 4 seasons had, I think, 8 touchdowns total. So played at 3 different schools, Washington, San Diego State, Louisville, but 6'5", 255. So definitely big size. If they're looking for that potential Colby Parkinson replacement in the future, either of these tight ends could potentially fill that role. If need be. Obviously he's still got 2 years left on his deal, but yeah, potentially from Newport Beach. So Cali kid.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. So
Always the best.
yeah. But yeah, let us know 17 undrafted free agents. We know one will make the roster. It just I shouldn't say we know, but I'm gonna put out there that one will make it. It just seems like every year at least one makes it, especially once you get injuries in camp and whatnot, unfortunately. So let us know, who do you guys love of this list? Of the kind of 3 each, or I guess 2.5, we both kind of agreed on Lampkin, and then we mentioned 2 other ones each. Of those you guys like, comment below on the video. If you're on YouTube, Rams LAFB is the YouTube channel. You can go right to our website, lafbnetwork.com, comment there. We are, Skinny, I know we've talked about this, we are launching a forum very soon. I'm working on it. Hopefully tonight, but I'm going to be honest, it'll probably be more like next end of this week. But we're going to have forum topics in there with Ram. We'll have all the LA teams. We'll have Rams in there specifically so we can talk, specific topics, draft topics, free agency, training camp, all that. Would love to just get more engagement and you guys chatting. Obviously, we love all the comments in YouTube, but for those not on specific videos, now we can bring that over to LAFBnetwork.com. So, Skinny, anything else to add before we sign off here?
No, man. It's get to watching some basketball and hockey. That's all I have to say.
There you go. Yeah, 6 o'clock.
Good night,
yeah,
Canada.
playoffs. Good night. There we go. So, well, thank you all as always for hanging out. Anything you're looking for this offseason, let us know. We're kind of truly now in the offseason all the way until like mid-July when training camp. Obviously, we'll have mini camps and OTAs and stuff, but not a ton will happen for the next month and a half or so. So if there's anything specific you guys are looking for, let us know. But we'll be here twice a week or more every week, plus plenty of editorial over at LAFBnetwork.com. So for Skinny T, I'm Ryan Dyward. Thank you as always. Talk to you here in just a couple days.